New brokers, broker agents, want to let you know we got a brand new video coming out. That's about the most important factor about being a professional broker. And that's going to be your market trends. What the heck is a market trend? Stay tuned and find out.
Yep, that's right. I don't put my glasses on. That's right. So we're going to discuss just a few basics about trends and what on earth a trend is. Okay. And in general financial field, the trend is just the point of the difference of 2 points. Sorry, I can't get my words out. So of course, those that's been in my training course, you know, there's an uptrend and a downtrend. We use that differently in the trucking field, especially for those that's doing your rate sheets, right? When you're quoting your lanes. In the general field, the trend, the word itself means the point of the difference of 2 points. So if it's this, if you have a number here and it goes down, let's just say by 10, then the trend will be minus 10, right? So if this is 0, this is negative 10, you're minus 10, right? So if you have 20,000, you just go ahead and jump right here. Okay, look, for an example, we start at the dollar since that's what this field's all about, the dollar, right? So look, we starting off at $200,000, right? And let's just say you trended up, and we'll just call this little section right here 3,000, right? That means you went plus how much? What, $100,000, correct? There you go. Your trend is this line right here. It trended up. Same goes for, I know this is, I've already discussed with you about the same thing, the negative difference. So that means if you had $10,000 last month and then you ended up making $8,000 this month, that means you're minus $2,000, right? So when you convert that into percent, that's what your trend was going to be. If you started at 40% and then you ended up at, let's just call it 20% right here at this first line, then you're up plus 20, right? So because right here puts you at 60%, so your trend is plus 20, right? Because you went uptrend. That's what that is as a whole, okay? Here's another example right here. So if you have 75% that you made in January, but February you did 43%. So we know that line between here and here is trending downwards, right? Because we read left to right. So therefore, your trend would be minus or down, 32%, right? So that means you downtrended between last month and this month, or January and February. So in a nutshell, a trend is just the difference between 2 points. And in this case, for this example, it's giving you minus 32%. We're going to apply this to the trucking. I'm generalizing so that way people get the gist of it, right? One thing about trucking that you must learn is the supply and demand, okay? And one thing you need to understand when you're working your lanes is the supply and demand based on the trucks, also known as load to truck. With that being said, I want to show you this real quick. Let me pull this down. I'll be right back. Ship it, right? A storage facility. We'll just call it that to keep it simple. But in this prime example, what's happening is the shipper or this manufacturer maybe did some wood, right? And got it down to these people who happen to be shippers. I don't know if you can see, right? They're providing lumber at this moment. And keeping the numbers simple, okay? They got a total of 10,000, wood in stock, right? Okay? We'll just call it, we'll call it 2x8s, okay? So there's another segment too we're gonna have to dive into one of these days, and that's about your densities. And that's a factor that a lot of brokers, especially the new brokers, I noticed, do not understand, and you have to understand that calculation, but that's a completely other video. If anything, I might share something that might help you guys out for that. Anyways, let's keep going. So right now, we'll just say that these 2x8s, they actually sell in a bulk of 192 bunks, okay? That's the right word. I believe that's the right word. It's called bunks, okay? And we know we just say it's bulk, right? But the construction terms or the wood terms would be called bunks, right? Now into the trucking industry. So at this point, they are going to offer, or you as the broker would make the offer for whatever you want to call it, right? Okay. It's 1750. That's what we're going to go with. So right now, the quote, or the shipper that might be providing the the load rate already is selling it for 1750. Understand that's your freight rate. Okay, before we get to that little part. Okay, your freight as a broker. Understand you don't quote off the freight rate. And hold on, don't tag me yet, because I know when I'm teaching you guys, we're using the spot rate, right? Because that's what it is when you look at that trending sheet or the that website that I gave you, correct? So when you're seeing what the trucks are going for, that is spot rate. Spot rate is what trucks are going for. But guess what? What did I tell you? We trend, right? When you trend, this is giving you a prediction of the freight rate. Okay, there you go. You just learned something new. When you trend, because we all know math is never wrong. And for those that I know have taken my course, I know I'm plugging in. That's the second time I plugged in. I told myself I wouldn't do that. I'm sorry. For those that's taken my course, you know when you trend, it's giving you your line haul. You know that, right? The line haul, surcharge, your total line haul, total rate. That's the freight. That's the freight rate. Okay. That's what the freight rate is before you apply your fee, because that becomes a spot rate after that. When you get it to your carrier, that's the spot rate. Okay. We'll get to that soon. Okay. So continuing forward, 1750. And I'm glad I didn't put that in there too. Look, 1750 is what this freight's offering. That's your freight rate. Okay. So you know from this right here, this freight rate. Oh wait, maybe you don't. I'm gonna teach you something else. This, as of right now, this freight rate's going for $2.91. But what do you notice on this board? It ain't nowhere to be found. Teaching you new brokers that how you need to start defining your numbers. Okay. 1750 at 291, you should be able to define the miles, don't you think? So I already know what it is. Who can tell me what that is? Okay. So I don't want to leave it at that. I want to just go ahead and just tell you guys. You take your whole number of 291 and then you divide that into 1750. You take the 1750 and you divide that into the 291, right? And those that's been taking my class and those that should know the basic math, not just my class, okay, should know the difference between a decimal and when you multiply, right? So if you multiply the whole number, it will give you the miles. So 750 or 291 goes into 750. How many times? 601 times, right? Move your decimal over. You have a whole number of 601 miles. Okay. That's exactly how you do it, right? Okay. That's not my factor. That's a factor that I didn't come up with. Okay. It's been like this since the dawn of day. It's just the way that you calculate. And sometimes you'll get numbered. And you know what? As a matter of fact, this factor that I just did, because there was no miles in there, I defined it. Understand, in the financial field, this is how people can define fraudulent money going in and out of their reports. Okay. So it's important for you as a brand new broker or as an established broker. Okay. Doesn't matter if you lack math skills. I'm not freaking perfect, but I do want to tell you that if you know these types of factors, it will help you along the way, because it will help you be not only a faster broker, but a more efficient and a much smarter broker too, right? Okay. So don't get me wrong. I've been doing this for a while, but I've been doing this for a long time, but I still got a lot to learn. Okay. Just like every industry, there's no such thing as getting the maximum knowledge. Never stops. This is a trucking industry. Tomorrow I can be dumb as hell, right? Let's keep going. So look, 750 at the 291, at 291 times this gives you 1750, correct? So we just established our freight rate. So those that know would understand that this would be your line haul, correct? Now, going back to the trends, when you take your trends, and I did this across a 7-week base, right? Those need to understand about supply and demand. Here we go. I'm about to piss off some carriers again. Carriers said, well, you brokers are sitting over there ripping us off and da-da-da-da-da. No, we're not. Okay, well, the majority of us are not, okay? However, it's about supply and demand. This is the economy period, right? And defining that of why this rate adjusts all the time, okay, is because at one point it started off at $17.50, okay? Now understand the demand is short because 7 weeks prior, this carrier was up 31, or I'm sorry, the shipper was up 31 buyers, right? The demand was there, so was the supply. But across 7 weeks, they dropped 40 buyers. So nobody was buying. So we all know what happens when no one buys. Businesses have to unload. And when they unload, it typically starts with the price, correct? So when you think about the price, so our demand has dropped, obviously, right? Our supply is there, our demand was there, but therefore, across 7 weeks with losing the 40 buyers, I know you can't see it. Right here it says $1,200. So we start off at $1,750, or you can just consider that that's what the freight rate's been going for, correct? Therefore, brokers were, you were getting, for those carriers that are watching, you were getting a higher rate, right? At one point, all of a sudden, it just went to crap, right? So now, if across 7 weeks, it doesn't drop down to $1,200. Therefore, it drops the total freight rate. So we went from $2.91 across this miles at $17.50 down to $1.99. Okay, who can trend that? Sorry, I already gave you the answer. I cheated myself there. So we down 68.38% between the 7 weeks of where the freight rate was 7 weeks ago till right now. So therefore, at the rate that it's going for, across 7 weeks at 68.57, we've dropped about $550, which is a major freaking crash. Well, my honest opinion, I'm sorry. That's a crash right there. That's a lot of money across. That's a lot of money across the board. Okay, which means when you break it down, that's per week. That's $78.57. Okay, so the supplies were there, but the demand wasn't there. So therefore, because the two were not matching, shippers have, or anyone, not just the shippers, the business itself, businesses period, have to unload, so they drop the price, correct? So when they dropped the price, it went down to $1,200, therefore making the line haul $1.99. Now, let me say something real quick. This is just a prime example, okay? Don't destroy me on this rate, because I know some of y'all just strictly focus on that $1.99. Well, I only gonna take $3 or more. I ain't gonna take it at all. Well, this is not what it's about. Just an example. Don't. So therefore, you get you should understand the gist about supply and demand. And when you're looking at the supply and demand, like right now, imagine the numbers reversed. Therefore, if it started at 12, the market has trended differently. Therefore, supply and demand has gone up. Therefore, making the freight rate go up, which puts more rate on the broker to, well, not just for the broker, but the freight rate went up. So therefore you can offer around the same percentage, and then the carrier will get that $3 a mile or whatever it is. If we're talking the freight rate at $2.91, if we just consider that the line haul, there's going to be more on that line. There's going to be more on that rate by the time the carrier gets it, right? So therefore, either way you look at it, when the supply is down, the demand is down, the economy is down, the cost drops, okay? And then people get scared. The problem we do have is fuel. But fuel doesn't play a big role in here. That's another video. Man, I'm just gonna get myself destroyed today, ain't I? Man, I'm gonna love this. But you gotta love this business. So now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take some examples. I'm gonna take an example real quick, and then I'm going to break it down on how you trend based solely on the market that we're just doing right here. We're going to take a realistic market, and I'm going to show you guys how to apply that, and then you will see for yourself. Okay, so when you are thinking about trends and how to apply this in the trucking industry, or the trucking industry, and how to apply this on your rate quotes or your rate sheets or your quotes or your bids, whichever way you want to call it, then what we need to do is we need to trend the lane. Same rules, except in this case, we're taking 2 points of numbers and we're going to roll it into per what I'm about to tell you. And that's going to be per mile. You need to trend the lane by the miles. And this works as This works as a forecast, and it's typically right. Okay, you can always be up or down, but for those that are new, that needs to understand the trending, when you trend it to the market, you will typically start nailing your quotes. Okay, there's no more looking at your load boards and then trying to take spot rates and then trying to get an average of the spot rate, what the brokers are paying, and then just try to fit it in between. If you want to be a professional broker, I want to give you one little thing right here. This is it. Okay, so as of 11:50, I don't even know what time it is. As of just yesterday, because I know it's just past 12, the dry van rates were going for $2.86. Flatbeds were $3.44, and this is spot rate that I'm referring to, by the way. Okay, and just to make sure we're on here. Yeah, and the reefers were going for $3.21. Okay, this is the spot rate. That is what brokers are paying. So if you don't know how to obtain your freight rate, which typically the freights are going to be different than the spot rates because they're two different factors. However, you can forecast, okay, or predict what your freight rate is going to be, which is applied to your line haul, right? So this is how you do it. We're going to use 1340. I'll just put 2 different miles here, okay? So we're going to take the flatbed and we're going to apply that 1344, okay? So if you trend that lane, wherever it's going, okay, that's going to be 1344. When you trend the flatbed rate by the miles, you should have a trend of 0.25, okay? This 0.25 we convert into cents because we're going to run this down the dollar. So we're taking the cents, and which is 25, all right? And if you know how to trend this lane, you know which way to go. Either you need to go up or you need to trend it down, right? On this one, I'm going to trend it down, okay? So if you take that 26 cents, actually, we all know about how the rounding works, especially with that third digit. So it's actually 26 cents, okay? So when you take that $3.44 plus the 26 cents, what's your total line haul? I'm sorry, I said I was going to subtract, didn't I? So that $3.44 minus that 26 cents, you're going to be at 318, correct? I said RPM. I meant to. This needed to be way different. This needed to be the line haul. Okay, so your line haul is $3.18, right? Okay, so as far as your surcharges, I'm going to put, if I know the lane, typically when you learn how to do this, you will learn how to do this in your head. If I'm going to put whatever this 1344 is on the surcharge, I'm going to put about, especially with the gas rates right now, okay? If I'm going to say it's coming from the Midwest, okay, that's where I'm at, Fort Worth, Texas, all right? So if I'm going to come out the Midwest, I'm going to put this, I don't care where this lane at 1344, our trucks need gas, but the surcharge cannot outweigh. So I'm still going to put this around 30, I'm going to probably put this around 34 cents, okay? That's my surcharge, right? I'm going to leave that, okay? So now we just run that. We just finished running that rate down. So our RPM on this line haul, okay, will be, when you take that $3.18 plus the 34 cents, okay, you get $3.52. All right, you get $3.52 on that total line haul, on that line haul. That's your total RPM, your total line RPM. You understand? Now, when you want to get your total, it's pretty obvious, right? I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to explain how y'all do this. Y'all should know this. And if I can keep my fingers straight, I will have this myself. So you have 4,700, or what? 4,730. Yeah, and 88 cents. Okay. See, I moved my decimal. Somehow I moved the decimal over, so I was getting a weird data. So that would be your total rate. Okay. That right there is your quote. That right there is your quote that you're going to get from your shipper. You understand? Once you have obtained this, then it's time to start turning that over to the carrier. Right? Now, Hopefully some carriers can agree to this. And as a broker myself, I'm going to tell you, there are brokers out there that are not just greedy, Sorry, there's a fly up in here getting on my nerve. But they're also lowballing their loads. This is where the problem does come in, where people are doing that, because they don't have integrity and they don't have no standard. Okay? We have a standard. We have a low overhead. Okay? We all have expenses we have to meet, but we're not trying to meet it on every truck. Okay? We know how business works. We get this over time. Okay? We know that this line haul we can offer, it should be able to go out on a flatbed. Of course, we all know it's going to go out less than this. Okay? I'm not going to determine this right now. Okay? But for those brokers who are running their line hauls, please, for the love of goodness, be sure you are fair with your trucks, right? It's $4,700 in this bucket right now. Be sure your trucks are getting paid. You understand? By the time you understand how to do this fully, you will be able to do a complete line haul, including multi-lane stops. Shouldn't take you no more than 5 minutes to do this. You understand? I don't want to talk about some companies I used to work for when I was an agent, but take them forever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here with it right now. This is what I would do. I can't wait to be a broker. Right? We know some of you guys that want to be a broker. That's how you think. It's like, oh my gosh, I could have had this already. But be patient, because there is so much entailment in this that I prefer that you learn, if it's not through me, through someone that can teach you the absolute number factors of how to do this from the inside. It does not get any better than understanding the market itself, because you can apply your numbers to the market and it will always predict where you need to be for your rates. This is Anthony over here at USOA Freight. I do appreciate you watching the video. I hope this was informative, and I have a whole lot more that's upcoming over time. I have to broker myself, okay? I got to get lit up by the carriers, you understand? All right, but if you want to know some more information, if you want to learn any more information about what I have to offer, you know how to reach me by this point. Please subscribe, please click the bell, you know the 9 yards on YouTube, okay? Direct contact is in the About section on the channel. And reach out to me. Let's see what we can do for you. And I'm glad that you watched this video. Have a great night.